I hope you got something to eat. Hope you had some time to talk. I hope you had some time to reflect. And it's now time to be present. Present to what Spirit is doing here. Present to all of us joining together as one community, as one Spirit. So I'd like to ring us in, and then I'll do a prayer. But I first want to say welcome. This is my first annual meeting here. Yeah, thank you. And this is the biggest attendance I've ever seen at an annual meeting, which I expected, because I know this church is about community. This church is about coming together and being a part and participating in this ministry. So thank you for bringing your consciousness, your skills, and your gifts to this meeting. So I invite you to go into a time of silence. It'll just be for a minute or so. But please take in and out a slow, deep breath to get in touch with the presence. Some of us have been on the run all week long. And this is our time to take a deep breath and to be fully present to the presence. Spirit, we know that this time together is anointed. We know that everything here flows forth in divine order, that we proceed from a place of understanding, that we come from a place of receptive hearts, that we listen from the heart, that we speak from the heart and speak for ourselves alone. And we know in this moment we are the presence. We are grateful to be here. We give thanks for this wonderful community. And so it is. Amen.
Medora, are you doing something? No. Okay.
You just do the welcoming opening prayer, right?
Okay. Then we will move on to Pamela.
No, you have to stand up for this. Good morning. Afternoon, sorry. We've decided to do the raffle kind of divided up throughout the meeting. So the first two raffles are going to be for the Costco membership and for the parking space. This down so I can sit down. Okay. Carl Beck. Yay, Carl. Is Carl here? He won the Costco membership. Now, this is the one that everybody wants. The reserved parking space. Chuck Tumnia. Wow. Cool. He did, yeah. And are you writing these down? Okay, great. So that's it for now. More to come.
Awesome. Thank you, Pamela. All right. So I have the opportunity now. I'll stand up for this part. We are going to have the opportunity now to repeat our vision together. We do this frequently, but let's do it with gusto and zeal today. We don't get it up on the screen, do we? No. I have it in front of me. You guys have it in front of you if you wish to read it, if you don't know it by heart. We are a spiritual community committed to authenticity and the expression of love and support for living an awakened, enlightened life. Woohoo! Glad I'm here. Okay. The next is the approval of our minutes from last year's annual meeting. They are in your packet, and they were they sent out in advance, Claire? They were in the advance packet? Yeah. So I would need to call for a vote, or actually, I think I need to call for a motion and a second. Great. All in favor of approving the minutes from last year's annual meeting, raise your hand. Great. All declining, saying nay. Anybody abstaining from because they weren't here? We have two abstentions. Okay, so they are approved, and we will move on to our next raffle drawing.
Yes, and I'm hoping that the person is here for this.
And this one,
But this one is for the theater tickets. And remember, we have two possibilities, either for Beach Blanket Babylon or your own choice. Heidi Woods. She's not here. She's on a trip.
but she will be very happy, I'm sure.
She'll be very happy. We'll let her choose hers.
Well, she'll
And-
probably want the choice one. This is the caboose that we're talking about. the
Yeah,
next
this
one.
is the next
The
one.
tag on.
This is Sue Summer donated these tickets. The Beach Blanket Babylon has been running for 45 years in San Francisco, and it's ending its run December 31st. So make your reservations right away. Janice Campbell. You want to give it to her?
Wonderful.
Do you want to get it, or?
So that's it for that one? Okay.
Is that two?
No, we've done two, and we still have two more. So yes, no, that's
Did
that's
we
fine.
just do one?
We've done three so far. We've done Costco,
Okay,
parking,
now
and
we have-
theater.
no, we do one
So-
more.
We do? Are you sure? No, we have two more
I'm sure.
sections for you to do. No
We
plan.
really are organized, you guys.
We
But
are.
it's been
We're
a
fine.
very busy few weeks.
Pamela's done for right now. We're moving on. Keep those warm, Pamela. You do those two next.
We have to do the cruise.
No, you do them next. So you do, it's really not that important, but we have two get gone here, and then the lunch, the dinner gets gone there. Okay. Yes, there are five. So it's 2, 3, 4, 5, and then that. You're fine. You're fine. Trust me. All right. I just, trust me. That's her famous last words. Famous last words. Trust me, trust me. Okay, we are now to the point where we are going to be looking at the Board of Trustees for nomination. Does anybody not have a ballot who needs one? And I'm going to raise my hand ever so slowly because I made all my announcements but didn't sign myself in. Can somebody bring? Oh,
If she needs a microphone.
it's right here.
Well, can you wait? Can you wait, Karen?
For the microphone.
because this is being live streamed. Yeah. Thank you.
Sarah has asked you if you have a ballot, a written ballot. My question is this. In preparation for today, I had a number of questions for myself. And so I went to the office and I obtained the entire body of amendments, bylaws, okay? And it states here, and I can give you the section and number, that when there is only 2 people for election, there does not need to be a written ballot. It's only if it's 3 or more. The nominating committee, one of their duties is, and I can bring this up for you later if it's appropriate, states that they are encouraged to, they did not use the word encouraged, but it is part of their duty to come up with 3 or more people. Now you may say, yeah, but what about if there's nobody who's interested? We do have a year to work on this because they're nominated today for next year, the nominating committee. The fact is I became something new and for me, and I've been here for over 10 years, is that we do have a board of directors. There's 3 people appointed by the trustees who serve as, quote unquote, from the bylaws, trustees in training. So it would seem they have the right to be present at all the board of trustee meetings, to participate in the discussion of the meetings, but they do not have any voting privileges, which seem okay. But we have 3 people, I don't know who those were or who those are, that have been in training, and that would mean you'd have some sort of, I hope, I'm looking at you, intention and or special interest or compassion to serve us in that way. So I question why we only have, just one moment, 2 people. And I'm trying to be very objective, so I don't want to give you my subjective reason why I think it's on a ballot. The other question that I need to have answered is, because the question is, how many years for both of you? Because the bylaw states that the term is 3 years. You may serve 2 consecutive years with a year off in between.
Term.
So that,
2 terms. That's
yes.
your
So what I
interpretation.
mean is, in your write-up of your profile, you did state that 2012 was when you were first elected.
As an associate. Mhm.
And there's nothing in regards to Gabe. So I would like to know that we are following, and personally I would vote for both of them, so that's not the issue. I would like to know that we're following that guideline, or that bylaw.
We are following the bylaws as we understand them today. I know that Tim has many questions and wants clarification throughout several areas that will take him some time to work with a little committee probably, because he's a very inclusive minister, to adjust or reframe more clearly for himself some of the bylaws. But we have been acting as we have needed to. I was elected as an associate first, and then I became a voting board member 3 years ago. So I think it was...
Are you referring to associate as the
I began
board
working
of
as a...
director in training?
Yes.
The trustee in training?
Yes.
Okay.
Those
Thank
are
you.
the associates. And
And Gabe?
Gabe was an associate first, and he was then elected as a voting member 3 years ago. He and I were elected at the same summer.
Okay.
At this point, we have been trying for the last year plus to get more associates on, with not much luck. We have had more luck this year. We have had a new associate join us just last week. Sandra Merlot is joining us as an associate. And
Okay, so
awesome.
thank you for clarifying.
And we have others. And I would encourage, I highly encourage, in accepting to be nominated again for for this year, I said, I'm happy to be nominated. I'm also happy to step down when there's somebody ready to go, because I believe in the rotation of our board.
Well, I think it's a grand idea, which I never was aware of, that we have associates or directors in training.
Right.
That's great.
We definitely
So,
don't have for years now.
I bet you I'm not the only one. But I would like to direct this specifically to you,
I wanted to address your question.
since we had a discussion about this.
Yes, thank you. And thank you, Karen, for your thoroughness in bringing this up. As I've looked through the bylaws, and I've studied multitudes of bylaws over the years, and I'm very familiar with Unity Worldwide Ministries bylaws. Many ministries take from the bylaws of Unity Worldwide Ministries as a template. So I can recognize aspects of our bylaws that I can see have been adapted from Unity Worldwide Ministries bylaws. You brought up a very interesting point to us before the meeting, and I've been finding some areas of concern as I've gone through the bylaws as well. So I'd like for us to have a committee where we go through the bylaws line by line. Today we'll be looking at small bits and sections of it, and we'll hear about that later. But I'd like for us to have a more thorough revision and exploration of our bylaws so that we can truly be in integrity with what we state we do. And I'd like to invite you to be on that committee.
I am not the solution, but I will be part of the process. Thank you for that. That felt authentic and honest. My reservation still is that until that time when we have made a bylaw change, it seems to me that we need to honor that. I just, for the sake of everyone who may not be aware, this is the words. The term of 2 elected trustees shall expire annually. No elected trustee shall serve more than 2 consecutive terms of 3 years each, without an interval of 1 year between them, between terms. No trustee, except the minister or the spouse parent, goes on to compensation. So what I'm saying is, in this situation, I think we dodged the bullet, you might say, dodged the heart, because neither of them have been on for 6 years straight.
Correct.
So,
We both know that this is our last term.
So-
We both know that we have to roll off.
right. So I don't have an issue with that, but I did want to bring that up to your attention so you know this now. But the second thing is, I do feel, I don't have all the information to make an assessment, but I have been on enough boards and to know that recruiting is not always the most honored or popular thing, but it's been kind of like, can be a challenge and be really exciting too when you facilitate somebody else's growth. And I really feel that there's some deficiency here, that we don't have somebody else so that we could truly have a legal written ballot. And you may say, Karen, get off your box here, like what's the big issue? But what this then leads me to, what the segue here is, when you don't have a written ballot, then I don't know everybody here. Actually, most people look familiar. That's a good thing. But the point is, when you don't have a written ballot, then it's just virtually, what you see, whose hands go up or whatnot. And the other issue that I don't think has been addressed, and yet you assure me that we're going to review that, and I did do a line-by-line assessment, so some of the work's on its way, is you may not be aware that there's categories that depicts then what our responsibilities and our duties are, i.e., there is are you a member or are you an active member or an inactive member? And I didn't know which I was. I know I don't have a membership card, as it says in the bylaws. And when I signed in today, I asked, what am I signing for? And she says, so that you can vote. But only active members can vote, not inactive. So not to be a devil's advocate, but to be a heart advocate, well, that's not, you were going by what you know. And most of us don't know what's in the bylaws. So that's number one. Let's get a copy and let's have a class on it and let's make it a part of our membership too. So anyway, I'm just saying we don't know really who's voting because there could be half of the room that is inactive and yet we don't know that because
Karen,
it doesn't
let me
show.
speak
So
to this.
that's all I wanted to bring up.
Thank you, Karen.
But-
let me speak to this, please.
Okay, but can
Thank
I
you.
just end with
Let me
this?
speak to this first part
High honor.
because there's a lot of information without opportunity to respond.
Okay.
So I believe it'll be very important to go through all of those bylaws, and it will be very important for each one of us to become familiar with our bylaws. Something that I've asked several times and I want to encourage is to have our bylaws available on our website so that a person from anywhere, whether they're a virtual congregant or whether they are physically present, without having to come in here to find where are the bylaws, can find where are the current set of bylaws so that we can look at that. One of the things that Karen brought up, which I hadn't looked at that particular section from her perspective before, that there can be some confusing wording where I took it to say 2 consecutive terms, then you have a year off before you are eligible to be elected again. Typically, that's how it's stated in unity churches. Our language is a bit confusing on that in terms of inactive members and active members, and I'm speaking to this just because I'm a guy who studies bylaws in my spare time. Serious. But inactive members, you will know if you've become an inactive member because there's a process per our bylaws that states this is how a person becomes an inactive member. Okay? So, just wanted to clear up that point. Thank you, Karen.
And yes, I have read that about what constitutes an active member regarding choosing to follow the principles of unity and incorporating, I'm using now my words, but incorporating that into your life, et cetera, attending services, attending worship. They didn't say tithing, giving, participation in classes and all. I suppose we're on the honor system because I thought, are we going to have to start signing in when we come in? And what about if we're watching over the computer? No. Over live stream. But I don't think that that's what it's about. But I have never been aware that there's any one or body who has the responsibility of monitoring any of this. And the reason why I bring that up is because I just don't think the guidelines are any better than what you enforce in one way. But I, myself, have been inactive for periods of time, whether because of surgery or other reasons. But nobody ever came to me or communicated with me to find out why that was. But so that's something that I think we do need to look at is how do we see ourselves as a body? We say nobody is turned away at the door, and yet there's some conditions that may not be be true. And they're hard ones.
I'm going to jump in here.
So, and I just
because I
wanted
was
to
called
end.
upon.
Okay, I just wanted to end what my intention was because I want you to know where I'm coming from, and it was.
Well, I'd like
the
to let
reading.
you know where I'm coming from too. And I think
Okay,
you-
so let me just finish my sentence.
ahead.
It came from the reading today in the Daily Word on it was authenticity, and so I have tried for you to be guided to speak and to act for the highest good of all concerned. I can express myself with courage and compassion. So I thank you that you've given me this time and opportunity, and I now give you the floor.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you very much. We appreciate your contribution. And we look forward to working it through. It's awesome.
I wanted to say that I didn't know all this, Karen, and I'm glad you brought it up. I think it's under control now, or in the process of becoming under control with Tim and Reverend Tim and the awareness of it. So I think it's time to move on, and thank you for the enlightenment.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so now we are at the stage where we are going to present the nominees to be voted on, and then I will present the bylaw changes, and then we'll take our vote. So Al, if you want to come up and talk about this? Yeah. If you want to call on me to talk about myself, I'm happy to do so.
So there's a quote from Peter Drucker that says, "I want a world that's more efficient and more compassionate." And I think that's what I see the board doing here at Unity Marin, because we're compassionate. We have a community based on love. We're very loving, prayer-based, but we're also running an organization. And this building is worth about $4 million. The annual budget is about $800,000. It's a legit organization. A number of employees, a number of activities that happen, crazy stuff in the middle of the night or at wedding parties and things like that all happen here. So that's, it's important to remember that. It's not, the senior minister not only has to get up here every Sunday and give a inspiring, connecting speech, he has to run a decent-sized nonprofit organization. And I think there's a lot of business and nonprofit and community leaders in the room here who know how difficult that is. So with that, I wanted to present two members. So Gabe Paulson, who's our president. Gabe is not here today. He's with his father. His father is experiencing cancer, and hold him in our prayers. Gabe is a small business owner. He is, a really effective leader of an organization. He's focused on efficiency in a loving way. A lot of the things that you see improving around our IT functionality and, connections and streamlining processes has been driven by Gabe, and I think he's, an amazing person. His spiritual beginnings were in the Russian Orthodox Church. He spent many years in the Buddhist tradition, largely at Spirit Rock, and he's continuously working to grow and develop spiritually. He's been to 47 countries. And he's this, a deep studier of religion, psychology, and philosophy. So that's Gabe. He is our board president and our fearless leader. And, I can't imagine, you have no idea the level of work that he does. It's not one of those like, oh, show up for a board meeting, go to a gala type boards. It's not. It's really not. He's, he does a lot of work. I always tell him, especially with his young son, I'm like, I don't know how you do it. So, speaking of I don't know how you do it, now switching to Sarah, who not only is, an extremely talented board member, the best project manager I've ever seen anywhere. I don't know how much, Cindy Acker and Sarah's work on the Montessori, like that, you have no idea. I mean, I have no idea. Like, going in, we were as a board going to start a preschool. Like, how hard could that be, right? But turns out it's hard. But Sarah brings a joy and a commitment. I mean, she's here, all the time, every day. A lot. And I really admire that as a board member. I think it's something that we really can appreciate because, she does so much. Sarah has drawn many aspects. He's been in Unity since 2012, and originally as a teacher.
2011 was my start.
2011.
And then I became a Uniteens teacher in 2012. And I joined the board in 2014 as an associate and spent 2 years as an associate, then was voted in as a voting member in 2016. That was 2016.
Yes.
We are
Awesome.
glad.
I just want to add, though, so we just talked about Gabe's commitment and my commitment and the time, and I didn't start that way. My first 2 years on the board was a slow ramp in. I jumped in at Unity with both feet with teaching Uniteens, but I didn't have to jump into an active role on the board right away. I got to work into it. I got to learn, as we were talking about earlier. The associates get to learn, get their feet wet, but also get their mindset on what it is they want to do on the board. What's their contribution on the board going to be? Because sometimes they come on because they've got a life experience that we would like to tap into, but sometimes people say, I don't want to be the financial officer of the board because I do all that all day. So let me look into something else for a while. They might still go into that eventually, but I invite people who want to be on the board but are set off because you listen to what I do or you listen to what Gabe does and you go, I'm not there. My life is too big already. It's really exciting, and you don't have to be afraid that you're going to jump in and jump into the deep end unless that's what you wanted to do, right? So your contribution is as open as you're ready to make it at that time. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew that, especially as they're considering being on the board in the future.
Yes. Thanks, Sarah. That's a great point. And I'm on the other extreme, so I'm not here during the week. I'm in the city, and I appreciate that. But that's a really good point because you don't need to be scared off. We have a great training program on the board. I've learned so much, and I think that's one thing that keeps me engaged as a board member is just the learning. You have amazing people all around this community. People who are leaders in their fields. You have training from Mel Angle, Tom Brown, like all this resources that come at you and really help you deal with what is some tough questions. I mean, being on the board is not always roses and dandelions. Like, you're making hard decisions, and it's important, and we want to get it set up. So I'll talk more in the prosperity discussion about that. But the community's doing really well, so I would encourage everybody to step up in your own way, to see what your own ways you want to do it in. And I can assure you, it wasn't our discussions at the board was like, I'd like to step back. I'd like to step back. We're all in it very committed, but we just want to make sure that everyone knows that we are so open to community input and involvement and volunteerism in any level that you want to do. Anything that you want to do is open, and we're ready. There's places we can work with you on that. So I think that's
great.
Any questions on this? And then do I announce Sandra too? Or?
I did already, so
Okay.
I sort of did. I jumped the gun on that one, but it felt right.
Yeah.
It felt
So, Sandra is a process consultant, and already I'm just learning so much from her. She's amazing resource. Thank you, Sandra.
Wonderful. Okay, so hold on to those thoughts, and now we're going to talk through the bylaws because we'll just do the voting all at one time. Unless you want to scratch in your ballots, you certainly can. So the changes to the bylaws that Tim felt were important to enact as soon as possible rather than waiting for the whole overhaul that he wants to take and corrections. What struck him the most was the issue of utilizing the email and our webcams and engaging people on a new level that are not physically in this building, or that we as a board were not in the building to take a vote and things like that. So everything that has been corrected is in that mindset, which is how do we take a roadblock out of something that can be done quickly, and then he'll take a look at the overview. So the first was that there was a time when you became inactive. If you moved 100 miles away, you became inactive. And that's just not realistic anymore. You don't have to do that. You can live wherever you want to live and engage with the community online. You can still take take trips back. Some people move away 100 miles and come back once a month, and for them, that's an active membership. So it seemed like that was just a roadblock that was outdated. So we've removed that. And then the additions are adding electronically being notified of certain changes, and that's gone through. I won't call out everyone because you can look at it on your list. But what we wanted to do was anywhere you could either be mailed something or you did something in purpose. If you're an active member, you can do it electronically. And again, it's trying to open up the definition of active. What does it mean to be active, and what does it mean to be engaged? And I think Tim's doing a great job, for me anyway, of helping me become engaged with our online viewers and the online participants, I should say. Because I can feel it when we turn around and wave to everybody. Hi, so if anybody's out there, Elizabeth, I think you're watching. She's been needing healing. Well, I'll send you lots of love, Elizabeth. And so it's full engagement. It's just, you just don't see them physically, but I feel them. So I encourage us to make these changes to the bylaws, but you'll make up your own mind if you need to flip through it. It was sent to you. I apologize for the formatting that the letter took when it was sent to you. It had gone through an automatic change by accident, and no one caught it. And so this is correct in formatting-wise, and so that's the bylaws. Are there any questions about the bylaws on this nature? I know we've had a more fuller conversation, but about these changes. Can we trot to Lynn also, one of you? Robert, will you go to Lynn? Either one first, it doesn't matter. I just want, you've got two mics and two people's hands up, so.
Let's take it first to people who haven't spoken yet.
Okay. Go
Hi,
for it,
Sarah.
Lynn. Hi.
Lynn Seaver-Forsey. I appreciate the intention that the bylaws represent. I have two questions or potential concerns around voting for these literal changes, and I think it relates to what you brought up earlier, which is that the whole set of bylaws probably needs some work and restructuring to reflect our current present state and where we're going in our future. The issue I have, first of all, is under the election of members or defining how people participate as remote members.
And you're talking about F, if I can look at this.
I'm looking at 3.02, election of members.
Okay.
Shall file an application, membership card, or electronically with the Unity. Anyway, that whole sentence isn't actually a complete sentence. There's some parts missing there. But it just brought to mind
yes,
that
because we're missing the by mail or electronically. Yes, we're missing the other version of.
Well, it's that application for membership card. That's not application for membership, it's application for a membership card. It's awkward sentence, and I don't want to get into that semantics because that's not the intention.
Right.
And yet we're voting, and so that's where it gets a little complicated for me. So that part is not really clear to me. I understand what an active member is, and I can see how an active member could be active remotely. But when it gets to the voting part and the changes for voting, where it also says vote electronically, there's no process described. So, for example, today, and I know, like maybe today it wasn't intended to happen this way, but if I weren't here physically, how would I vote electronically?
So
Like,
if we voted that in, the next time we voted, how would we handle that? That's what your question is, right? If
and
we
so
voted it in.
I see the words, I support the intention. I'm just thinking maybe there needs to be a little more there.
Tim, can you speak to that? Let's let Tim.
Thank you, Lynn. That's an important issue. At Unity Church of Hawaii, we had online voting. And so we had to be very clear and transparent about what the process was, how to go about that. Procedures don't have to be described in bylaws, but it's important that procedures be clear and transparent so that the body can see what the procedure is, so that we can have assurance that the person voting online is who they claim to be, and that they've only voted once, and that we have a clear system in place to do that. So we had that kind of system in Hawaii. It'll take us, like, if this were to pass, it'll take us probably this next year to come up with the procedure. I don't believe that that would invalidate voting for this change, but just know that a very clear and transparent procedure will need to be put in place, that the membership has a right to see how that procedure works. Does that respond to your question? Thank you.
Yes. This is Judy Williams.
I have a question about what you just said. So does that mean that then we will vote on that? Or are we actually voting on that now, whatever the procedure ends up being? We don't vote on procedure.
We do not vote on procedure.
Yeah.
We, as a church, we as leadership and as board determine procedure, but the bylaws, that is, that we can have online voting, that can be approved by the entire body. And it's important to bring that to the entire body because this affects the nature of our community.
Well, no, I understand that.
And because this is a new paradigm shift to see that someone could be a virtual congregant and actually be able to vote online. But we wouldn't be voting as an entire body on the procedure.
Right. So then, my question is then that's actually, if I'm voting for that here today in the bylaws, then I'm actually voting for whatever you come up with.
Correct.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That is.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you'll be voting for us to be able to create that procedure. And of course, people can give us feedback and say, oh, no, we need to do this, we need to do that, so that we come up with an efficient, safe, secure, and transparent process. Thank you.
I was just going to say that perhaps that...
Could you hold the microphone closer?
Yeah, perhaps that could be the first sentence, shall file an application for membership in writing or electronically.
Do you want to
Write that down?
hear that again?
Could you repeat that? I couldn't hear it.
First sentence, anyone desiring membership in Unity in Marin shall file an application for membership in writing or electronically.
Yes.
Leave out card.
Yes. Thank you.
Just as a reminder, even electronically or being here to become a member, there's a class that people take. So we're kind of aware of these people if they're going to be coming online with us. So.
Do you want to speak to this?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Sorry, Sam, did you need a response? I heard you say that I heard Sam say that there were classes to become members, and that's where you would get your application, whether it be online or in a classroom here. Is that all you wanted to say, Sam, or did you need a response?
No,
I wanted to respond to what was being said. What I recommend is that we can go ahead. Now, we could go through a whole amendment voting process, which would be strict Robert's Rules of Order. But I would recommend that we go ahead and make that change to the wording, to clarify that, to be included in the motion to pass these bylaws. Is that all right?
That Liz just said.
Yeah.
Jump.
I have a quick question. Are the board meetings open?
Sorry, I don't see.
Sorry, Sarah.
There you are. Hi. Yes.
Are the board meetings open to the congregation?
The board meetings are open to the congregation. We actually have
Melanie comes on a regular basis and has for years. She holds a prayer consciousness with us. The board can call for an executive session if necessary. But yes, board meetings are open and board minutes are posted in the office per the requirements. And so, yeah,
And
absolutely.
do
Come
you-
visit.
When do you meet? Once a month?
We meet once a month on the third Thursday of the month. This month, we're switching to Wednesday because of scheduling changes.
At least once a month.
But at least once a month. Actually, this month we have met more
Thank you.
often. A lot going on. Was there anybody else who had a question before we? Yes, there she is, our beautiful Melanie.
I'll stand up. I would think that it would be a good idea to have the language that Tim used included with this vote on electronic voting and participation. That the language, I can't remember what all you said, but clear, transparent, secure, that intention be included in the language of the voting. Good? And I also want to say that the board meetings are exciting and wonderful and impressive. I am so delighted to be part of this group. They include me, but I'm sworn to secrecy, and so don't ask me what goes on. You guys have to come. And you are
Not
welcome.
Really. She's not sworn to secrecy.
And my main function is prayer.
Yeah, she does. And I will say that Sandra came twice to 2 meetings that we had before, just to check it out, make sure, So we were like, Linda.
Hi, my name's Linda Nelson. I just would, because I don't know all of you, and I'm interested in hearing what you have to say, I'd like to get to know you, and I'd really appreciate if everybody would say their name when they're about to talk on the microphone, just so we can kind of get to know each other a little bit more. I'm standing up. No.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
If you're given the mic
I know.
again,
They get
please
it.
stand so that we can see you.
Yeah.
And speak your name very loud and clearly so we can get to know you. That's good. Okay, are there any other questions about this bylaw election? If we are going to have this, it will now say that the vote is for it to, this first line, to say anyone desiring membership in Unity and Marin shall file an application for membership in writing or electronically with the Unity and Marin office.
I've been waiting too.
Oh, I didn't see you stand up. I thought your question had been answered. Sorry, Karen.
Yes, we'll listen to her first.
Can we allow those who haven't spoken yet to speak first, and we'll get to you, Karen? Please.
My name is Ricardo, and I'm sorry I can't stand up because of my bad knees and things like that. Okay, I'm good. Okay. We have a social justice
We're going to be talking
equity
about that.
community. I didn't see it anywhere in here listed.
Tim's talking about it.
Oh,
it's on his list to talk about.
Oh, okay.
He and Christy already talked
so
about it.
it just wasn't included in this then?
It's not included as its own bullet point, no.
Oh, okay.
Tim's talking about it in his
Oh,
minister report.
Is he going to talk about Sue Summers' writing class also?
I don't know. We're not talking about every class, but I don't know.
Hey, these are very important pieces of work that's going on in the church here.
Very true.
I mean,
very true.
very, very important pieces of work.
Okay. Well, Tim mentioned Sue's writing class.
Thank you.
Okay, we're good to go then, huh?
He's good to go.
Thank you, Ricardo.
All right, Karen, what did you hear?
I would like to follow the lead of Melanie, and I move that there be a motion to delineate and clearly define the relationship of electronic communications in the area of voting and voting for Unity and Marin positions prior to looking at anything else, because that's the new addition. And we haven't been privileged to, so now I'm going to speak to my motion. Do I have can we have a second?
I'm sorry, I'm unclear on what you're making a motion about.
I move that there be a,
Yeah, please do.
Here I've got it.
did you get it?
Yeah.
Motion to deliberate and clearly for in areas of electronic membership and election, Karen, basically.
Well, I said communications.
So Karen, hang
Yeah.
on. If there's a second, then you can speak to the motion. All right, thank you.
Okay, I'll now speak to the motion. I think that Melanie has a very good point. We want to completely support, I want to completely support the concept of bringing this moment into this moment, whether I like it or not, that's electronics. So, but to do that, I think that there is going to be a little learning curve, and we certainly don't want to have to learn from mistakes. So I believe in taking a little bit of time. We've got the expertise right here in our back pocket, so it shouldn't take a long time to set this up. And once we have set it up so that it does qualify to be safe and thorough and meet our goals, then let's vote on it.
Okay, we're not going to have a discussion about that. And I have the first question. I'm just curious, are you asking us to not vote on this that's already been...
Motion on the floor.
No.
There was no motion on the floor. I just put a motion on the floor.
No, I'm asking, it's a question about your motion. I'm unclear if your motion is asking for us
I want you to vote for my motion.
No, I'm asking for...
Which would be not to...
Karen, I'm asking you a question. There's a question mark at the end of this. This is a question for you so I understand your motion.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. Is part of your motion to request that we do not vote on bylaws today so that they can be fully fleshed out? Is that what you're asking? Or
If all of... my question to you is, if the bylaws, which you are referring to, all contain the words electronic, then yes, I encourage you to vote no on any bylaw that has the electronics added in, because I would want you to vote yes on my motion, which would be to develop that, have it all in print, and then have a strong communication system, including it.
Al, can...
Yeah, so I want to speak as a member, not... I think we can get to the same point, because next year, if we develop this, and I'm not going to be developing it, Tim and team are going to be developing it. If you don't like it, we can vote at next year's meeting to strike electronically out of the board. So it gets to the same point. I think there's a process question here, because what this is doing is putting in place, setting it up. So this is, they won't set up the infrastructure to do the electronic voting without this passed. And there's just this is our annual meeting, our chance to change the bylaws. So I would suggest that you can get to the same point by just saying, we're going to closely monitor it as a community, and we'll closely monitor it as a board. And if we don't like the way it's going, next year we strike electronically.
Except that that is not how your motion reads. So if you would want to do a revision on that motion, that would be possible.
I don't think the motion has to be changed.
Pardon me, just to follow Robert's Rules of Order, people may speak to the motion. You've already spoken to the motion. Al was speaking to the motion. He shouldn't be interrupted. Are there others who, and pardon me for jumping in, are there others who wish to speak to the motion? There's a motion on the floor and has been seconded, and this is to speak to Karen's motion.
My name's Linda Nelson, and I think I speak against the motion that you've put forward, because for one thing, we don't vote that often. There aren't critical issues every week, every month. And also that there is real large trust that goes on, it seems to me, in this community. I certainly have it for the board, that they're going to be doing the right thing with the language as it stands, as it's proposed to move forward originally. So I think, having worked with laws, rules and regulations, bylaws, policy and procedure, that what we need to do is look at the larger concept, even though there may be some tweaking in some of the expertise of how we're handling the language right now. The notion, I think, is that we create a broad spectrum notion of approval for the board so that they can create policies and procedures which we will all have opportunity, if we so choose, to get into the detail of. These kinds of meetings are not set up for that level of detail. So I speak against them.
My name's Don Davey. What Linda said, I totally agree with. And it's my understanding of the amendment is that it's a request by the board to put our trust in them to develop our policies and procedures, of the detail of which Karen is speaking to. So I happen to have that level of trust with the board and their ability to accomplish that in a year's time. And I don't see any need to quash the bylaw change that they've suggested.
Liz King, not a member. Could you read that suggested?
I don't have the read.
Sorry, can I just ask for a pause moment? I just need to ask Reverend Tim about a motion, Robert's Rules of Order issue. Okay, thank you very much.
I'll just explain what the question was for transparency. So the question, and let me give you the response, and then maybe you can understand what the question was. Yeah, this is in terms of Robert's Rules of Order. So a motion was, because actually there hasn't been a motion yet regarding the bylaws until Karen made a motion. And so Karen made a motion, it was seconded by Ellie. And so we are now discussing that motion. That motion has to be discussed and considered and voted on before we could go to a vote on the bylaws.
Before you mark your ballot.
Does that make sense to you? So we're speaking to the motion that Karen made. Thank you.
And can someone read that back specifically?
But Liz,
Can someone read that back?
Liz, what were you going to
The
say?
motion.
As closely as I was able to get it, Karen, motion to deliberate and clearly define in areas of electronic membership and election.
prior to approving.
Prior to approval of this, yeah.
Prior to voting on the bylaw, is what you're saying, right? Okay.
She needs a mic. I'm sorry, she needs a mic. Oh, her live stream.
Delineate. So the motion is to delineate and develop the mechanism for utilization of electronic communications.
To delineate and develop, can you repeat it for Claire?
Delineate and develop mechanisms for, and she had said.
The process, or Reverend, because you had spoke to this with your words. The system, it's a system of communications to include, a system of communications.
You've already spoken to the motion.
Well, I know, but she's not got it down. So you're asking me
So you're
clarify.
stating your motion now?
Yes,
She's just simply
Rescinding? No, I'm not rescinding. I'm trying to clarify.
The problem is capturing this motion clearly and succinctly so that we can vote on it. That's what we're trying to capture right now, Tim. Thanks. So you're, Karen, tell me if this has got, if we've got it.
All right, here we go. This is it. This is it. The motion is to develop a system to add to communications electronically throughout all bylaws.
Oh my God.
Well, because you have several places that in your bylaws that are
To
applicable.
develop a system to add.
Utilizing electronic communication.
To develop a system to add
Electronic communications
electronic communication.
in addition to present mail systems, mailing systems, period.
In what, Karen?
In addition to our present mailing system,
Oh, thank you.
because that's how it was read in the bylaw.
To in-person and mail-in.
So,
In person, no, in addition. In addition to the mailing system.
In addition to the current system. Is that what you're saying?
So if you want to not struggle anymore, someone call the question.
Can I state something? What I heard back here at one point was, and then I believe you've picked it up, is that you would like the board to have in writing here at the moment that they will develop a delineated system for how to deal with the electronic part of things. Is that true? You're asking the board that they will commit to creating a system to use electronically?
Before? Yes, no. Before putting it into operations.
Ah, okay.
Sorry, what was that last part? Before?
I said before putting it into operations. Because there's nothing that kept you from doing that now without us changing it.
That's how we do everything.
No.
Okay. I'm going to read this back so we can vote on it. Oh, sorry, Liz.
You finished?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, what I heard that I thought was a great idea is that you're saying we don't deal with procedures until they're not explicit. And what I thought was being requested from someone back here originally was that the board will create an explicit procedure for electronics.
Mm-hmm.
And that will be voted on, that procedure or whatever will be explained and voted on at some other point. But we are giving you permission at this moment to proceed with electronic expansion, and that we are trusting you to delineate that for the congregation in the future. So,
Correct.
I'm hearing now that it needs to happen
After.
in 2 steps. Okay.
Madam Chairman, I call the question
Thank you.
now.
Yes.
May you call what?
I can call the question as a member of the church, and I call the question. We've had 12 people leave so far,
So
and
calling the
we're rapidly
question-
losing our quorum.
Thank you. Let me explain what's happening. In Robert's rules, a person can call the question, which means that we vote on that, and calling the question is voted on. So we vote on whether to call the question because it ceases debate. There's no more debate once call of the question is in place. So we will vote on this.
On Karen's.
No, we will vote on Medora's calling of the question
Yeah.
to cease all debate
That's
and
right.
go directly to Karen's motion.
Yeah, that's right. You have to vote on calling the question first, then
Okay.
you vote on the motion. And I recommend that we do it by standing rather than, who's going to count then?
I'll count.
Okay.
Okay.
So those who are in favor of calling the question, that is, we're going to get on with the vote and cease discussion, could you stand? That way we can see you. Okay, so that passes. Thank you. So given that there is no more discussion on Karen's motion, I'm sorry, I keep calling it Karen's motion for lack of a better term. It's a motion you're the author of the motion, but it's the motion that Karen gave.
Yeah.
Who seconded?
So,
Ellie did.
so can we please hear Karen's motion, and then we will vote on Karen's motion first. And pardon me for stepping in this role. I mean, Robert's rules is something
He's a genius.
I've studied, so, all right.
The motion as is stated, to develop a system to add electronic communication in addition to the current system before putting it into operation. That is what the motion was. All in favor of doing that, say aye. Aye.
Stand up.
No,
you gotta stand up.
Have a show.
Show of hands, please. All in favor of that, say aye.
No, have them raise their hands or something.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I apologize. I was not hearing him properly. All in favor, say raise your hands, please. I'm sorry?
Are you in favor of that motion?
She did not know. I'm sorry. Karen did not explicitly ask that this to delay the meeting. She said it's not necessary to put, there was no additional language that she put in to say that anything other than what you just said. I stated it correctly, did I not, Karen?
So, the motion is on the floor. Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
If you remember, my first sentence was, I want to support.
No discussion.
No.
Just the motion.
I just said my first sentence was, I wanted to support Melody Carter's suggestion, and that's how I came up with the motion, which was to develop this system prior to authorizing the whole change.
I don't know that
And
that's
we
what
can
Mel-
call special meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
There's no more discussion?
Okay. I'm going to then reread this, so please tell me if this is now what you intended. To develop a system to add electronic communication in addition to the current systems before putting it into operation prior to voting on any changes to the bylaws. Today.
All right. All in favor? Stand up.
Okay, so.
I've got it.
You got it?
I've got it?
All in
Okay.
favor, say-
I'm going to read it for one last time, and I think I've got it, and then we can vote. To develop a system to add electronic communication in addition to current systems before putting it into operation prior to voting on proposed bylaw changes.
That's her motion.
That's her.
All in favor, please.
That's her. All in favor of that motion, please, show of hands, raise your hand. Okay? All opposed to that, please raise your hand. Okay. So that motion has been not passed. It has been struck down.
Moving on.
Okay. Not
Collect the
passed.
ballots
And I would suggest, if I may. And I would suggest, since we have already discussed this a great deal, that we go ahead and move towards voting on the ballot and voting on the ballot. And there will be some people here to collect the ballots. I have not yet marked my ballot because I wanted to hear all the discussion in a dispassionate way. Thank you. Where's my pen?
Robert has it.
Okay. He
Well-
has my pen. Hang on.
You dropped it on my side. Sorry.
No, this is mine. Here's pens, guys.
So we're going to continue on while ballots are being tallied. All right.
Muchas gracias.
That was exciting. That was exciting.
You guys usually have, isn't it? I'm used
That
to
is
this kind of stuff.
community action together. That was really invigorating. I'm like, whew. Okay, so everyone's voting now. We're up to that number. Great.
You silly man. Yeah, right.
All right. All right. So since everyone's now voted, once a year we request that we need to ask for a new chair of the nominating committee. This position has been held by Barbara Cochran for the last couple of years. Is there anyone who would like to be the new chair of the nominating committee? If so, please raise your hand. Barbara, thank you for doing it again. I appreciate that. All right. Now we're up to our annual reports, which is, have all ballots been come in?
That's a committee, not a person, so anyone who wants to join in.
Anybody else want to be on that committee? Yeah, it's, as Al points out, that's a committee. You'd like to be on that committee too? Awesome. Okay.
Yep.
So Karen? So just those two?
Not binary.
At this point, join, if you decide you'd like to be part of the nominating committee, please do. This is for the nominating committee.
I think in the past we would have, and Barbara, you could explain this better, about there's one person who is, would be then charged with organizing a nominating committee, I think. And then there's an alternate in case Barbara can't do it.
Oh.
So that's what the alternate would be.
Okay.
But Barbara would be in charge of putting together the committee.
Okay. Great. Thank you. And Tim, can you come up and give us your report?
Oh.
We have 4 reports to hear from. We'll hear from the minister's report, the prayer ministry, the prosperity
Can someone
report,
help me
and
hand these
Montessori
out?
school.
Can we hand these out? Don't know if we have enough copies. Oh, I need one copy, please. My report. Thank you. So they're handing out my report. It's not in the packet.
Thank you, Don. It's an additional item.
Yeah, we can just hand them out at the end of the rows. Take one down, pass it around. 99 ministers' reports on the wall. Yeah. Are you love streamers still with us? Are you folks from Hawaii watching us? I bet you are. Okay. Well, so we've handed out these reports. I hope we have enough. And so I want to first state that I feel a little bit funny whenever I give a senior minister's report because I recognize I don't act in isolation. I'm one person. Yes, I have a vision and enthusiasm to do the work, but I recognize I'm just one person. This is about all of us working together. This is our report. That's why I put senior minister's report, our report, because it's about what all of us do. And so this is a report of what we've done together. My first Sunday here, which was March 24th of this year, I intentionally spoke on me to we. You remember me falling backwards into the congregation, those who were here, because this is about all of us. It's about community. It's about all of us working together. And I know more now, even then, that the evolution let me just pause. Oh, wait. I know more now, even than then, that the evolution of our consciousness and growth of this spiritual community depends on all of us joining together in this work. I want to first say a deep, heartfelt thank you for all of you who have made us feel so at home here. I'm going to throw in additional things. I work off script. But, it's a big move. to move across the ocean. It's a big move to come to a new spiritual community. You don't know all that you're encountering. There's going to be lots of unknowns. And yes, it's a beautiful area of the world. And yes, San Francisco has been, in terms of large cities, San Francisco has long been my favorite city. So I've been here frequent times in the San Francisco area. But that doesn't tell you what it's like to live here. And many of you have really, really welcomed us. As soon as we moved here, the Loving Kindness Initiative, where are you, Claire? I mean, they were bringing us food and all kinds of things to help us to fit in here. Sue Silkworth and Jess Batha. I mean, and the prayer chaplains were doing that as well, and the flower team, and all kinds of other people were sending cards and gave us food and various gifts to help us as we moved in here. It really made us feel at home. And I want to thank you, Reverend Medora Gordon. Some of you may not know Reverend Medora Gordon, and that's a story in and of itself, was my mentor as I went through the field licensing program, because I was ordained as a Nazarene minister and then became a Unity minister through the field licensing program. And Reverend Medora wanted me as a mentee, and I was very grateful to be her mentee, because I'm the kind of person who likes to do twice as much as what is expected of me. And by coincidence, Reverend Medora is the type of mentor that expects twice as much as... Just saying. And so thank you for all your work, your diligence to keep this place functioning. And I realize I've been here 4.5 months, and Reverend Medora was the acting minister for a year. Can we please give her some? I'm very thankful for the wonderful music we have in this place. So our music director, Carolyn Gauthier, and choir director, Cindy Acker, and all of our soloists and musicians, and Lissa Masters, our youth director. Are you here, Lissa? Oh, okay. There you are in the back. Yeah, thank you. And the teachers who do an amazing job with our young people, our youth, thank you so much. And thank you to the staff, Arabella and Lynn. Now, Arabella's out helping to count ballots right now, but Jeremy and the custodial facilities team, John and the tech team, and the amazing staff doing fabulous foundational work with the children at the Hamilton Montessori School, which currently they are contributing $4,000 a month. So not only are they self-sufficient, in 1 year's time, and in Hawaii it took several years for the school to even be self-sufficient. In 1 year's time, the Montessori school here has not only become self-sufficient, but able to contribute $4,000 a month to the church. Yeah. That's cool. That's very cool. I'm glad you caught how cool that is. And so thank you, Sarah, for being the project manager for that, and Cindy Acker for overseeing that creation of the Montessori school, and we'll hear a report on the school in just a little bit. And I want to thank Mel, our bookkeeper, who is so diligent to help us with our books, and he's so good to work with. And I am joyful and pleased to announce that Linda Anderson Henry is moving from a board position to now contract as a financial controller, financial expert, a chief prosperity officer. So she is helping us to really look at the books, to streamline some things, Linda's one of those kinds of people that's good at checking under every rock. Yes. And in finances, you need someone who can check under every rock. I want to thank Heidi Listig for, I don't know if you're watching, but all your work with the rental of the facilities and all the work you did here. And we have an amazing board here. I have had the privilege of working with many, many boards throughout my adult life. If I were to guess, probably at least 35 different boards. Church boards, nonprofit boards, various kinds of boards. This board is one of the best boards I've ever worked with in terms of working together, listening together, being creative, affirming the highest and best for our community, for our congregation. I want to give them some love. Thank you. Thank you. So, and I want to thank the search team because I know the search team put in hundreds of hours in Sandra's laughing. And the ministerial search process. And yeah, I'm grateful because I was selected, but I'm grateful for the wonderful job that the search team did and all their diligence. You know, if I wasn't selected, I'd still be thankful for you, but not as thankful. But they didn't select me, right? Yeah, they weren't the ones who officially selected me. Yeah. And then there's all the volunteers, and this is the issue, you know, when I'm writing these reports, I don't want to leave anybody out, and sometimes I leave out the very most important people, and people will ask, how did you leave out that person, you know? And so I just said all volunteers, you know, ushers and those who welcome and those who work in the meditation garden or the gardens out here or who help with hospitality. I mean, people like Lou and Gail. And there's so many awesome volunteers, and I'm grateful that, you know, we're recognizing some of these volunteers, and because there's so many people who do so many things. What?
The guy who works in the kitchen all the time.
I didn't hear you.
They volunteer at the kitchen all the time too.
Yeah, hospitality, that volunteer in the kitchen, and that's what I'm saying. Thank you. And so there's so many, you know, in the bookstore, the list goes on and on. You make this such an amazing place, all of you make this such an amazing place. I could just, I mean, I'm not going to, but I mean, I could just go somewhere else and this place would function wonderfully. But I don't plan to do that. But I'm really, really grateful to be here. And I especially want to thank my wife, Olga Lucia. She gives unending support, companionship, spiritual strength, direction. I don't know if you know what I mean by direction. But she's like, be careful of that. Or, oh, you need to talk to this person. Or, oh, watch out. Or, you know, she helps direct. And you are the one who encouraged me to come back to unity. You are the one who believed that I would be a unity minister. You have always been there for me. I love you deeply, and I'm so grateful for you. It was a big move across the ocean, and while I know a definite calling to be here, there's so many unknowns, you know, like I was saying when you come to a new place. So let me tell you about some of the unknowns since I moved here. I knew I was really drawn to the people of this church, that there was a real heart connection. I experienced that 4 years ago. 4 years ago, June, when I came here and spoke. What I didn't know was how wonderful, how giving, how truly spiritually deep, how connected, how energized, and how gifted the people of this community are. What I didn't know was that in a period of 4.5 months, I would have such a heart-opening, deep love for all of you, which transcends time. What I didn't know was how much I would absolutely love this area with the gorgeous trails, trees, and views. I hadn't really realized what a mecca of culture we had dived into. I didn't know how blessed and happy Olga Lucia and I would truly be here, and we are. And yeah, there's other surprises too. Like, oh, it's kind of expensive to live here. Or, wow, we sure can drive fast here. Or, I'm driving how far away? All of that is being adjusted to with grace and ease. We know that all of our needs are taken care of. We know everything is unfolding perfectly. Olga Lucia is already doing some work, and we're continuing to explore even more what that looks like for her. We're just so grateful. So what have I been doing? Some people wonder. It is really important to me to collaborate, to work together. And so in my short time here, I have prayed with people. I've made hospital visits, had a bunch of spiritual direction sessions with congregants. By spiritual direction, I don't mean therapy. I mean working with people to assist them in unfolding their spiritual path and direction. I've had 17 scheduled staff meetings, not counting all the spontaneous ones. Monthly ministry leadership team meetings, program steering team meetings, worship team meetings, Weavers meetings, meetings with John DeLeon regarding live streaming, technology, marketing, meeting with prayer chaplains, weekly finance meetings, monthly board meetings, plus extra meetings, communication with the board, frequent meetings with Reverend Medora, meetings with individuals, leading one Wednesday night service per month, connecting with the Marin Interfaith Council, teaching the Unity Way of Life classes, developed Sunday messages, explored vision and strategy. And to think that I have been asked numerous times in ministry, what do you do with yourself all week? Honestly, sometimes in the past, there have been some people who have actually voiced concern about whether or not I might get bored during the week. In my first 100 days, and that was kind of a time to reflect, I had many goals in regards to the church. And let me tell you about the top two. First, to get to know the people. I have had 11 table of 8 gatherings so far. Have I counted that correctly? Yes. 11 table of 8 gatherings so far, and we'll have about 5 more. But I know why I was off on the number of tables of 8 I've been to, because there have been a number of you who have arranged private gatherings for me to come to, or private meals to do the same sort of thing as tables of 8, and there's probably been maybe 10 or 12 of those. And so that's why I was off, because I thought, oh, I've met more times than that. And in addition, yeah. So it's been a wonderful time of hearing other people's vision of the church. Yeah, when I applied here, I stated the sum of my vision with the board. I'm like, this is what I'm about. This is what I want to do. This is what I feel called to do. It's up to you. Is that what you want? And so the board was really, really excited about that. Now, I know it's important for the entire congregation to have a buy-in in terms of what our vision is. And I've been looking at the 2020 vision that was done, I think, a few years ago. So I've been looking at that. And at these tables of 8 and other gatherings, I've been listening to what other people's vision is. And what I've heard over and over is we want to go deeper. We want more classes, more education. Many people are excited about expansion and growing and marketing and the whole online experience. The Spanish-speaking ministry. I mean, a lot of people are very excited about that, but it's important that we all share a common vision. Now, I didn't pass them out, but they're up here on the table. I'll tell you why I didn't pass them out. I have up here on the table a more specific, this is my vision. I own that. Now, it has been influenced by a number of people here. It's been influenced by some of these tables of 8, but I own it as my vision. And I don't want you to think, oh, we just got to do what Reverend Tim wants. But if you would like to see what my vision for the church is, I have a bunch of copies up here of it. Now, when I shared it with the board, some of them were concerned because it has such specificity. While I'm a big ideas guy and I can also get very analytical. I can crunch things down into measurable times and amounts. So this many people by this time and blah, blah, blah. Or this much money by this amount of time and stuff like that. So if you're interested in seeing that, I'll have those up here on the table for you to think about, to pray with. Thank you for the music. I was thanking you for the music earlier. And so anyway, I've just really appreciated connecting with all of you. And in regards to the live streaming, technology, marketing, I really appreciate John DeLeon and Connect, Chris, Maurice, Olivia, all those who assist with our tech needs. Thank you. John and I have met quite a bit, and so the live streaming experience has become more intimate, more connected. Donation online is made easier. We continue to work and tweak with things to make things better so that this wonderful place can reach out into the entire world. And, we connect with our Facebook page and on YouTube. So the message is getting out. It's growing. And we've had a consultant, Susan Searway, who assisted with our Facebook page, which actually grew by thousands during the time where she has done some things on Facebook. So I know that there's much that we can do still. And I want everyone to have the same opportunity that we have had to experience these amazing teachings. and this amazing community, to be a part of this community virtually. In the next year, my priorities are to assist and promote classes and educational experiences. So, because a lot of people here want to take a deeper dive, so we're going to do it. We're going to go deeper. I want to continue to address marketing and social media areas. And I want our preschool to grow even more. It's growing, but I want to see us grow even more. And for our youth ministries, families, and classes and activities for senior adults to grow. I envision a Spanish ministry. I want to celebrate our social action team because, as I was saying in the first service, I think it was first service, seems like a long time ago now, but it's not an either or thing. Like, are we working on ourselves or are we working out in the community? Yes. You can't really do effective work out in the community without working on yourself. And if you're working on yourself and never reach out into the community, I question the depth of your inner work. I believe they go together. And so our social action team and ministry is something I want to see grow and expand. Whether the social action teams stand, I know they're here. Would you? All right, thank you.
Robert would also be standing up with them for those who
Yeah.
don't know. He's out counting,
Yeah.
he's counting ballots, but Robert's part.
Thank you. And I look forward to introducing the possibility to our community of becoming part of the sister church program in the Unity movement, where we could be paired with one or two churches in the world to, first we would be holding each other in prayer. We'd be prayer partners. And later, if we wanted to, we could move towards the direction of vacations with a purpose. That is, maybe taking a vacation to Nigeria or New Zealand or somewhere like that, where we connect with that church, assist with working with that church, maybe doing some work there, but it'd also be a vacation experience that we would take together as a community. Literature drives and other ways of connecting with the sister church, and that's part of something that I've helped lead in our movement. Now, the big leader of that is Lisa Davis at Unity of Portland, Oregon. But I am the International Advisory Council Chair for Unity Worldwide Ministries, and I'm the board liaison for all things international in our movement. And this next week, I'm flying all night tonight. We have some critical board meetings in Kansas City, so please hold our movement and our board in prayer. Very, very important board meetings, and they've all been kind of clumped together in the summertime. But so just know that I envision together that, because I know that a spiritual community can grow in depth and even in numbers and other ways when we are connected with assisting and working with other world areas. Together we can do anything. So I know that as we pray and envision together, we are arriving at what Ernest Holmes, religious science, calls a new mental equivalent. If any of you look at this vision that I've been envisioning, it will expand, probably, maybe, it might expand you to the possibility of a new mental equivalent, because I do not dream small. Well, thank you. So, it's up to us what it is we want to create. This is our community. It's about all of us. So together we can accomplish so much and see so much greater depth and expansion of this amazing spiritual community. I love you all, and I'm extremely grateful to be here. Thank you. HMS. So did you
Hamilton Montessori School.
Hamilton Montessori School. So I was within 5 years. Yeah, so you can see some of those goals and vision. And it's something that I'm holding myself to. And we can all decide together as a community how we want to go forward. It looks like ballots are ready.
No, they're going to go, they didn't sign it. They didn't sign it.
Okay, all right, awesome. All right, thank you so much.
Christine, there you are. Come on up and give your report.
Here.
Yes. Oh, no, there's a handheld. It's right there,
Hi there, how's this? Okay. I'm Christine Slate. I am standing up, Linda. In fact, it felt really good to stand up because we've been here for a while. I've been given 4 minutes to talk, and I'd be happy to use 30 seconds of those 4 minutes to say stand up if you wish to and are able to, and just stretch for a minute. Can we do that? Okay, we are getting there. Now, we all know that the Unity Movement was founded on prayer, and your prayer ministry has been very busy this year. We have a new community prayer. We will be rolling it out at the end of the session. We have World Day of Prayer coming up, September 11th to 12th. There will be a 2-hour Wednesday night extended service with a labyrinth, with hands-on and spoken prayer from the prayer chaplains who sponsor World Day of Prayer. Reverend Tim is giving a talk. There will be music. It will be wonderful. And then as we finish those 2 hours, we move into September 12th, which is World Day of Prayer. So you are invited to come into the sanctuary and enjoy our silent vigil. We still need people to sign up for an hour or two, but we will be here for 24 hours, meditating and praying, joining people all over the world doing the same thing. And it feels very mystical and magical. Our prayer chaplain circle has been very active in terms of praying with you and calling you on the phone to pray. And they do a service every single month, second Wednesday of every month here. Now, our silent prayer circle, we've lost Lindsay, too bad. Our silent prayer circle is the circle that prays on the prayers that you put into the prayer box or into the offertory basket and that they receive by email. They have prayed with almost 3,600 written prayers, and we are working on a system to let our love streamers ask for written prayer as well. So that's coming up. Yes. And brand new, we have a prayer shawl ministry. There's been somebody in this room, as we all spoke, actively working on a prayer shawl. So it happens all the time. Here she is. After a prayer shawl is knitted or crocheted or woven or quilted, it is prayed over by our prayer chaplain circle and given to a member of our community. And we are open to everybody. Even if you don't crochet, come on out, we can teach you. So that's a lot of the things that we have done, but we want to look forward to the future too. Gail Brown, would you please stand up, and Barbara Cedarblade? This is currently on the drawing board stages, but we would like to have a combined labyrinth and memorial garden system. The memorial garden so that we can remember those who have passed and those of us who will pass, which is all of us. So if you are interested in the labyrinth, Barbara is collecting information about that and seeking a vision. Gail is working on the memorial garden, and we will combine the two at some point, and we're still in the designing, visioning stages. So if you have anything to contribute, please do. Okay, and I'm good. Any questions for the prayer ministry? Nope. Okay, terrific. I will see you at the end when it's the end of prayer. Bonnie. Yes, we do. We have to have 48 people, 24 hours, 2 people in a slot. In my safety manual, nobody vigils. Oh, I'm sorry, and for the love streamers. Bonnie asked if we needed more people to sign up for the 24-hour silent vigil for World Day of Prayer on September 11th to 12th. And yes, we do. Because in my own personal safety manual, nobody vigils alone. There are always at least 2 people present in the church. And in order to leave the church open so that we can have a 24-hour silent vigil, somebody has to be here, because we're not going to leave our church just open and empty. So sign up with me afterwards. Thanks for asking, Bonnie. Maddie also has a list that she will have at the hub each Sunday. And please, we would love to see you. We need 48 people, 2 people for every single slot. Anybody else? All right, thank you very much.
All right, prosperity announcement so in the minutes or in the package is the financial statements. Anything that you're interested in more of, details, please contact the office. We aim for transparency in all of our financial oversight and make sure we're not trying to hide anything, just trying to present it for clarity and simplicity. So thanks to Linda for putting this together. Top line, cash is down at 6:30, still at $42,000. It's the summer is always our toughest months because of attendance. Our key drivers are engagement and attendance, and then large gifts. So, you think about during the summer, everyone's on vacation. It dips down. It's important to remind everybody to sign up for auto donation. So even if you're not here, your donation comes in. I know it's, it can be tough, but that would be really great if you could help out there and to get set up. But, overall, I'm very optimistic and excited about the organization. Our cash balance has grown since June 30th pretty significantly. Oops, sorry. And, which is a good sign. But, for me, the leading indicators, which are attendance in all of our Sunday, Wednesday, and classes, is way up. Our energy is way up. I mean, this is a really good attendance for a 2-hour meeting on a beautiful Sunday afternoon. So that's good sign for us. Like, we have nothing else besides our membership in your engagement, and we appreciate that. We're taking some big actions on the board. Tim and team are really getting set up, and we're really starting to take some actions. Thinking about the organization, and you look at some of the carpeting is getting a little scuffed up and things like that. So we're starting to think about the use of the church and how we can make it available for the community and make sure that it's maintained. This is our biggest asset. It's $4 million. We have to keep up on it. And I know that people have pointed out that there's some things that could get addressed, but we do everything within budget. So if we have more money, if we have more volunteers, we can get that set up. On volunteers, the $700,000 of revenue and expenses that's shown here does not reflect the size of this organization. This is only the cash going in and out. You have to understand that there are volunteers. If we tried to record all of the volunteer time and donations and other things, it would be a $2 to $5 million organization. So that's important to know and to think about. And we need to keep doing that because money or time and effort and talents is just as valuable. And a lot of people give, but the more that you can do that. So if you're handy or you want to help out with the gardens or other things, you can do so. I give money because I'm busy. I don't have time to come in and do all this stuff. So that's what our family does, and we donate. But Sarah does the hospitality, and we do the board. But anything that you can give is really good. And just know that it's not recognized there. But the more that we get volunteers engaged, we can do this. This is a big community with big visions. We're really excited about the direction of it. So now we need to make sure we have the resources to do so. Any questions? Yes. You need a microphone? Microphone?
I'm Carolyn Gauthier. I just have a couple of questions. I know it's a little detailed, but I did notice that we're not going to be doing as many rentals, for example, for weddings and things like that. And yet, last year we had 55,000 plus for rentals, and this year event rentals has gone up to 99,000. So we're expecting more from rentals, but we're doing fewer. So how's that work?
Yeah, so the budget, we are projecting an increase overall, and you have the 4 different areas of rentals being one of them. We're going to be focusing our rentals on community activities and things, and really thinking about the wear and tear on the organization, and also the availability of the facility. There's a lot of opportunities, for instance, on Saturdays to have more community-based events and things like that that will both bring in money but also bring in the people, the community. So to go in that direction. So that's a reflection. It is somewhat aggressive, but not too aggressive. We thought we have a way to, we think that we're going to be able to make that $99,000. But Tim?
I just wanted to state that it's not weddings per se that we're going to decrease, it's wedding receptions. So we're going more towards ceremonies.
Yeah.
So, it can be weddings or other kinds of ceremonies. So we could actually have, potentially, multiple weddings in the same day, but not the receptions. Because when you have a wedding and a reception, it takes a huge block of time and a huge amount of staff. So we're wanting to decrease the costs of our staff doing all of those reception work. So, and we're claiming Saturdays back for our community, primarily. So that we can have more classes, so that we can have more of those deepening experiences. And that also will be a revenue stream.
Yeah. And the board
Al,
monitors...
Can I
go
say
ahead,
one more
yeah.
thing? So one of the other changes is that there's less staff expense included in that net number of 99,000. So we're looking at ways to...
So that's not income?
It's net.
It's net.
Net income.
Net.
Right.
We're decreasing expense rather than increasing.
Right, right. So we'll operate in a more efficient and profitable way, if you will.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important to note, too, that there's the cash expense, but there's also the wear and tear. Like, if you look at the chairs in front of you, you'll see a lot of them have that little rip in the back. And that's not from somebody sitting on it weird. That's from the chairs being stacked and moved and stacked and moved. So that's just an indicator of what happens to the building. You see some tears on the carpet. There is wear and tear. We had a bathroom, an incident in the bathroom that was covered by insurance, but those things all come out. So it's important to us to really think about a holistic view. And Pamela has been leading a facilities team that's been really doing some great work about thinking about what is all the deferred maintenance that we have here. Deferred maintenance, is things like, our HVAC system doesn't cost us anything most years, but when it goes, and it's $20,000 or so. So we need to be thinking about those things proactively versus reactively, and to get in that mindset.
One other question.
Yes.
Under ministry services, I'm not sure if that was Heidi's salary from last year or what exactly that is, but that also has increased those expenses from 111 to 142,000. What exactly is ministry services?
So that would be, go ahead.
Tim, do you want to speak to that?
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. If you would.
All right. So we're looking at changes in marketing and the front office and how to increase the productivity effectiveness of the staff.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's fine.
That's good.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Yes. Sarah's not here, so I can use this story now. But she had a great idea for a Christmas market. And she came to her, she's like, let's do a Christmas market at Unity. And then, we sent a note to Medora, and we sent a note, and then it was like, oh, we can do that, but here's all the work that goes into it. Mm. So we have a vision of a community that's more compassionate and able to do more, but also more efficient. So let's do a Christmas market, but we just need to be able to do it. There's work here. There's a lot of work running this organization, and I'm really happy with the direction that we're taking, and to be able to do more, be more efficient, because that allows us to do those things, to expand our ministries and our outreach.
Thank you.
Another question?
I'd like to propose that we have some more celebrations of life. And that is while people are still alive.
Love it.
We have a trio of 77-year-olds, myself included, who are coming upon our, there should be a name for this year, something, in September, a party, a fundraiser. I mean it to be profitable. You know, would you pay to come to my birthday party, to my celebration of life? I'd rather come to my memorial than observe it from a distance. Yeah. We could celebrate birthdays. We could celebrate. I loved how Vince DeMaio celebrated his life before he passed and had all of his family and some friends. So I propose this. And anyone who wants to come or be part of it, we could have a mutual birthday party.
I'll be there. All right, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Al.
Thank you, Al. Here's your.
Thanks for all your.
So this is the update on Hamilton. It is in your packets. So I just wanted to highlight the fact that this reflects the first 16 months of the school's operation. And we opened the doors on February 12th in 2018 with 3 students, and Cindy actually teaching, which was awesome. By summer, we'd grown to 7 students, and by the fall, when we started our first full school year, we had 12 students, 2 full-time teachers, a wonderful assistant, and by spring, we'd grown to 17 students. So it hasn't happened fast, but it's been continuous, and it's really exciting. And the end of celebration last year was just lovely to see these children that had been there for a full year with their grandparents at the special grandparents and special friends tea, and then with their parents at the celebration, the end of year celebration. And it was the growth that had occurred, and the ownership over their room, and just so much was just awesome. So we were growing. We had a great camp this summer, three camps, including science and nature and Hawaii. And we are going to open the doors for our fall with 19 students, which is really amazing. I'm just really impressed. We hit 17 a couple of times. We hit 18, and then somebody had to leave because the parents moved out of the neighborhood. It's a movable bar of students. But we're at 19 now. We do have a director on board. I'm very excited. Oh, whose name is Naringa Willis. Naringa is her name. So for the last fiscal year, July 2018 to June 2019, we had gross income of $236,000 with total expenses of $211,000 for a net income of $24,375. Now, what's really exciting about that is that's the net income after we paid Unity $34,000. So it's been really great. It's been really great. And it will continue to grow. And our goal is to continue to grow the student body and being a resource to the community itself, that the parents who use the school, who might work nearby or live nearby, are just loving it. They love biking to their kids to school or walking over from their place of business. And it's great. And so we get to support Unity's growth as well by having the school grow. So it's awesome, and that's the update. More growth to come. Okay. We do. So, I'm sorry. Any more questions about the reports that we just gave? I think we've hit it. Oh, yes. The capacity is 54. That's through licensing. We're up to 50. Well, actually, that's through the county, through the community. The licensing actually said we could go up to 90, but we're not ever going to go up to that. But we're hoping to have at least 24, 25 soon. That's what our first target is. Barbara.
Can we bring the microphone?
Just a thought, I forget if I don't put it out. What about having some of the parents that are so delighted and happy with their children and their experiences here go on their next door and tell everybody that they know their experience?
Yeah, we'll continue to encourage them to do that, or even on Facebook. Any other questions before we move on to the next? Yes, Sam. Mel. Sorry.
Hi, I'm Mel Engel. I'm over here in the corner for a reason, I guess. I've been involved with the Finance Committee of the church for a long time. And just as a way of history is that we actually had cash reserves at one point of about $300,000. Our current financial position, where we're looking at a relatively minor cash amount, I think it's better than zero, but I think we have an aspirational goal that the board should take on, is that we need to get that number higher by 100,000. And I would put that out there as a consideration for us now at the annual meeting, is to actually think about when we're here a year from now, that there's a 1 in front of that number, and that we rally the cause to make that happen. Thank you.
Here, here. By the way, the square is in the back, so as you're leaving, if you feel inspired to start that trend towards that 1 in the front, please stop by. Well, we're about to pull those raffles right now. So the vote.
Another question.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see that.
Hi.
Sorry, Judy.
Judy Williams.
Yeah, we will, yeah.
I just had a question in regards to the Montessori school
Yes.
because I have a vague memory that, yes, there was that we were going to get the rent aspect from Montessori, but wasn't there some other aspect involved as far as income that as the school grew? Or did I misunderstand
Right.
that?
So the income that the $34,000 is what's called a facility use fee, and that's the base minimum that the school needs to give to the church to keep going. And yes, when the school is more profitable, Unity can take more money out of that fund that's in the black. Absolutely. So the hope is that grows to hundreds of thousands that they can take off as needed.
Right, because we ended up allocating and taking like what, 25,000 just to be able to do it, right?
25,000 was brought in from the Candida Wright Fund, which was a specific educational fund,
Right.
and that
Oh,
was the
that's
seed
right.
money. That money still is there.
Oh, okay.
That money has not been all spent yet. Okay. So we did not spend all that seed money. We started bringing in more money before that was
Great.
happened. So we have replenish that as we need to. And yeah, the intention is to have Unity have a deeper fund.
But it's important to note that the Montessori is actually part of Unity. It's part of our legal entity. So all of that money that they have in their bank account is ours. So it's not like they could do something else with it.
Thank you, that helps clarify it.
Yes, yes. It's just that we also don't want to leave we do want the school to be freestanding enough to support its
Yeah, totally.
ongoing
Yeah,
process.
but I was missing that piece. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions before we move on to the announcements of the votes? I'm sorry?
Yeah.
No, that comes after the votes.
Let's hear the results of the vote.
Okay, so the bylaws have been passed. Do I read the numbers? Do I need to read the numbers? They just tallied it. I have no idea. Anyway, the bylaws passed. Gabe has been voted onto the board again for another 3-year term, as have I. So thank you all very much. What was that? Oh, you're welcome. You're very welcome. I will say that the discussion was rich around the bylaws, and I know that there is a commitment for the board to be very thorough about how that electronic voting gets processed and how that works. Okay, so I just don't want you to think just because it didn't get voted on that the concepts were not valid. They were very valid, very rich, and the board will absolutely be moving on those recommendations. And a committee, a committee for the bylaws. It will not be in isolation. So, thanks. All right, next raffle. You okay with your next raffle? All right.
I think more raffles. So this is for the cruise around the bay for 2 Sunset Cruise. That can't be right. Carl Beck again.
So he can't. We should go back to Costco.
They're each different
Upgrade
boxes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We're going to repull Costco. We'll give Carl the cruise.
Cruising Carl.
Cruising Carl. And let's see. And this is for the balloon ride, which Sam and Mel have donated. So, Vicky.
There's a couple of Vickies. Let me see the phone number. The phone number is 415-328-1134. 5 or 3?
Not you.
I think it's Vicki Bornstein.
What do you mean? Well, we'll call that number and find
Bornstein.
out which Vicki it is.
So Vicki gets the cruise. And now, we're actually going to draw, the grand drawing is for the dinner. So everybody that,
Costco first?
okay.
We're going to pull the new Costco winner first.
All right, this comes out Carl back. Lee Young. She's not here, but Lee got Chris. Yeah, she's got Costco.
All right.
What's she win?
The Costco.
The
Okay.
Costco, yeah. So we have more than made our goal of 25,000. We were at 32,000 net, about 26,000. So we are going to be able to draw 2 names for the dinner. The first, Lee Connor. Oh, Lee. Yay, far out. Yvette Connor's husband.
Yes.
Lee Connor. And so the next drawing is Sally Wheels. Do we know Sally?
Sally Wheeler.
Wheeler.
Weiler?
Weiler.
W-E-I.
Weiler. Sally Weiler. You know Sally? Good. So Lee Connor and Sally Weiler also have a seat at the table at the on the 26th of September.
Hey, Mel,
Yes.
make sure people can still buy tickets to the dinner, up to the dinner.
Oh, yes. So the raffle is complete, but anybody up until a week before the dinner can still contribute to the dinner. They can still buy a ticket. And a tent.
Attend.
And a tent.
Thank you.
And attend.
Buy a ticket and attend, and they can bring a guest for $250.
And you can donate anytime you want.
It's $1,000 for the ticket for the dinner. For the donation, and the thank you gift is a dinner.
And $250 for a guest to come
And
with you.
$250 for a guest to come with you. And that's on September 26th at the Spinnaker. So that will be available to contribute to until about a week before. Okay.
So closing prayer. Yay. Christine.
Thank you all for staying here so faithfully and following everything that we've done and helping us all be so productive. And I'd like you to turn to page 19 of your packet. As you do that, I'm going to affirm that we are all one, that what happens to one of us happens to each of us, not just the ones in this room or the ones at Unity in Marin, but the ones all over the world. And so now I'd like you to read with me our community prayer, which was a group effort, because we did so well with the last one. So please read along with me. We join together in gratitude for answered prayer, attracting a new minister, establishing the Hamilton Montessori School, and continued development of a thriving spiritual community. We affirm the divine inner light within us all quickening and steadily growing as we discern how to best give our gifts and participate fully in the beauty and abundance of unity in Marin. We welcome the participation of our love streamers. We envision a vibrant youth and family ministry, Spanish-speaking ministry, and expansion of our education ministry, and the licensed Unity. We claim our identity as a vibrant New Thought center for individual and collective change in the Bay Area and beyond. And so it is. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
With our closing prayer, our meeting has now come to closure. Thank you all very much, and we are now closed, right?
Yes, correct. We're closed. And then
We are closed. Thank you all for coming. It was great.